I was having to look at Egon, but Egon was a tennis ball, and Alicent was another tennis ball, and there were these guys with a crew having these very long poles with tennis balls waving around, and then there were 4 other guys with leaf blowers blowing wind in my face.
It's not just a king or a queen. They are a protector of the realm.
We know that loyalty is a quality that's always betrayed and underrated in Game of Thrones and in House of the Dragon. But you as a couple are an example of how that still exists in this world. And I want to ask you about that. What have you learned about loyalty after being in a show like this?
Oh God.
Over to Eve.
Well, it's really tough position to hold.
Yes, I mean, loyalty's fine when it doesn't challenge you in any way. Do you know what I mean? I think that loyalty's great, but then there's blind loyalty, and that's where there's an issue. I'm not going to go political and start talking about the world, but if there is someone who is in your life, whatever it is, and then they do something which is wrong or criminal, are you doing them a favor by sort of going, no, I'm still behind you? Or is the best thing to say, well, no, that's wrong and I can't stand by that? It's the kind of thing that comes up in this. So what have I learnt about loyalty? It's a double-edged sword, I guess.
And everything is always just a point, it's all just, anyway, a point of view, everything.
It's a very good question.
It's a really good question, and it's a really hard thing to hold on to when you have to.
I just talked to Tom and I asked him, why should we support Team Green?
And he had no answer, did he?
No, he did.
What was his answer?
He
I'm
did.
fascinated to know what his answer was.
He said, why would you support a boring team that's gonna do the right thing?
Why would you choose the boring side? You've got to choose one with a bit of danger, a bit of unpredictability. That's way more exciting than choosing the blacks. They're just all rule followers. And they'd like to claim they do things the right way, but that's completely contradictory and hypocritical, so in my book anyway.
Oh my God, I think he just made our case for us, frankly.
Boring team,
Oh my God.
as opposed to the psychos.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is just the kind
Wild
of
card.
petty answer I'd expect from a Green, frankly. No, that's an interesting take. And it's about the only take you can have if you're House Green, frankly. We're so bad, but we're interesting. No.
We're so bad, but we're interesting.
No. Being good and being right is interesting. That's why you support Team Black and abandon Team Green. Anyway, green's the colour of bogeys, so that's another reason.
I like green.
I like green too.
Oh, me too, actually.
My last question for you is about that mind-blowing scene in season 1, episode 9, when you arrive at the coronation. Because I want to ask you about how did you leave that behind the scenes? Because for us as an audience, it's epic. It's like, oh, shocking. But you being there with the crew, the cameras, but
Oh gosh, the reality of filming it was bonkers. I was very interested to see the end result, because in the real thing, I was sitting on I had a saddle, but then it was this moving, they call it a buck, which is like a moving machine. I was having to look at Egon, but Egon was a tennis ball, and Alicent was another tennis ball, and there were these guys with a crew having these very long poles with tennis balls waving around, and then there were 4 other guys with leaf blowers blowing wind in my face. And it was absolutely berserk. And then everything else was a green screen. So there was no crowd, no nothing. Just all had to be imagined.
Looked fabulous.
And then I saw the cut, and I was rather impressed.
Yeah, looks amazing.
thank you so much. We ran out of time, but it was a
Okay.
pleasure.
It goes so fast.
You are
I know.
It goes so fast.
I know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.